Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. Testing, testing. Hello, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and Coach Mad Hatters. This video was supposed to premiere like 4 or 5 days ago. Um, Here we are. I've always been a better late than never type person, only because I understand divine timing and how things are going to unfold, mature, and blossom as they are naturally destined to do. So the fact that I am here in this time and space and we are ready, then the time is now. I think I may still have it set as a premiere, but some things have changed since I initially decided I was going to do the spread. Now here are the cards. Same cards. I never have taken them out of this little thing here. And quite interestingly enough, um, my Paulina deck, I haven't even had the urge to pick them up until today. So it hasn't been a whole bunch going on, but that which has gone on has been quite robust. I'm sending lots and lots of love to Optimus Prime. Um, Me and Prime don't talk a lot, but when we do, he brings so much inner perspective forth. And it's not every day that you can have somebody who speaks not particularly your language, but a familiar language, a communal language, a language that is in complete chemistry to your own. And that's not to say that we agree on most, but I think we agree on the stuff that matters, especially the matters of the heart. And so, yeah, shout out to my godlings, Maverick, BB, and J Boogie. I had been immersed in contemplation about quite a bit of things. What has been chiming rather loudly is our low knowledge in karmic debt and the repayment of that karmic debt, and how it could and can transcend lifetimes, can be transferred in utero, and can mature inside of non physical spaces and completely dwell undetected for those that exist more in logical spaces than intuitive spaces. Inside the Harry Potterverse, the folks that I speak about will be considered muggles. Muggles, non magical people. Sometimes I wonder where the maturity continuum will be registering right about now if every single person, especially those of melanated lineage, knew and fluently spoke in magical, mystical, mythological, metaphysical, metaphorical terms. If we were the communicators of non physical spaces, and that we were in charge of our own mind flows, our own ebbs and mind, our own ebb and flows of mind and heart. I really wonder where we would be as a people. I wonder what types of moves and maneuvering we would be making if there was no such thing as propaganda, if there was no such thing as mass manipulation, if there was no thing as all of my people's artifacts being spotlighted in other people's museums. Most people, when they talk about reciprocity, they often be talking about the repayment in American dollars or any type of monetary currency. As always, I beg to differ. I will be one to say every single artifact, journal, content, concept, every original piece, every masterpiece, every single iota of information that was generated by a being of melanated lineage, give it all back. Drop it off at a doorstep, give it all back. Because here's the thing, even this day and age, I believe that we are still being the butt of the joke when it comes to private life and public life. There's an entirely different reality for those with private life situations and circumstances. Most often, the regular folk are those that do not know firsthand for themselves the magical, mystical powers that they are themselves capable of conjuring up. Folks like me, they are quick to attempt to assassinate character and tag all sorts of reasonable doubt when we somehow find the courage to speak freely that which we have either been studying, have witnessed firsthand, have been investigating, researching, and developing. Why? Because it's a more easier plight to have everyone believing relatively the same thing. If there can be a consistent percentage, more so on the higher end than the lower end, a higher percentage of consistency around this thing we like to call common sense, where the majority thinks the same way, feels the same way, talk the same way, dress the same way, act the same way, to be in the hmm, to believe. Hey, okay, I'm back. I don't remember where I left off. So let's just talk about the reading, shall we? So the For You to You reading. This is the first of its kind. I don't know why I'm showing you this little piece, but it's the first of its kind. These cards came out, I want to say almost 14 days ago. And I've been holding on to them. And my excitement has ebbed and flowed about this particular spread. Um, so here are the cards. I want to say that this may be a good time to get comfortable, get your notebooks, your pencils, your highlights. Um, because I do not conduct readings for entertainment purposes. Class is now officially in session. This is an actual lecture. Um, I think I've mentioned a couple of times that I don't necessarily do readings for divination. I wonder if it's a novice thing. I wonder if, as I continue to grow in my ability to speak, translate, and comprehend in terms of tarot, if I will somehow gain the confidence to perform readings with regards to divination. But right now, we are still in the realm of clarity, focus, drive, manifestation, awareness, honing into that which I consider to be karmic debt, not necessarily repayment, more so than reconciliation. Um, and I believe before I was interrupted, there was a understanding coming down the pike with regards to lifetimes and reincarnation. Um, I don't or have yet to sign on to the notion of conventional, inside the conventional terms of reincarnation. Um, I'm still a scholar, I'm still learning. And what's really interesting is that I actually want to hold off and do this reading when I am more energetic, but something in my mind is saying, no, continue on just like this. So please forgive me if this drags ass. For some reason, I am to deliver this message with this weighty energy on me. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's get to it. What I think I am going to do is see if I can pull a baseline oracle. Um, and even though I have contemplated the spread, I haven't really honed into it. I pretty much wanted it to unfold on camera. So let's see. if we can get a bottom line energy for this immediate spread. The ideal is the message is coming across for you to you. Now, here is what I had decided that. Wait a minute, hang on. Am I losing? I'm losing journals. Let's see here. No, nope. Where am I? Where is my life? Hang on. Here we go. Okay. So, I've decided to get a new journal. And in this new journal will be the keynotes to several readings going forth, especially my Abracadabra hosted readings. And I think also will be the for you to you readings. The sub theme for this first reading is entitled Children of the Damned, which was a title to an episode of a title inside of the Vampire Diaries series, season 1. For me, storylines like Vampire Diaries, the originals, Charmed, what's another one? Stranger Things, uh, A Wrinkle in Time, Once Upon a Time, Juju the web series, all of the storylines from Nalini Singh and Lorraine Donor. Um, grants insight to that particular portion of life that folks with no manners, the non believers, the non magic folk, like to sarcastically call the world of the woo woo. Inside this realm, there will always be opposing forces. To speak in general terms is something that I'm really not good at. I am of a very specific nature. And as I've said before, don't do the small talk too much. But I'm not really what would be considered serious folk. I know how to laugh. I have a lofty sense of humor. I can be witty if I need to be. But there is so much going on. More so with folk that look like me that can often forget to schedule in your laughter. I don't even know where I was going with that. So the eagle, see from a higher perspective. So let's read that. We are pulling from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck, which will serve as the prequel to this reading. Um, Page 124. So much going on. Look at things from a different angle. Fly higher and see new possibilities. In animal medicine, both Native American and Celtic, the eagle draws his power and strength from the sun. He is a powerful, strong, and courageous guide who is able to see for miles. He approaches all things with intelligence, grace, and poise, and has the capacity to make a plan from a higher space before putting it into action. When the eagle card appears in a reading, it shows that you are when the eagle card appears in a reading, it shows that you have a real ability to take things higher and to move beyond the limitations of your ego and your selfish desires. Eagle medicine swirls around you, encouraging you to recognize that your views or visions may be limited at this time. Is there a chance that your own desperation, needs, or ego could be blocking you from seeing the potential in your current situation? If I had to immediately answer that question for myself, I'd have to say yeah, especially right now. Right now is a bit of a challenge. If you are feeling the need for if you are feeling the need for something to change, how can you take the higher road? Know that if you have intentions that aren't for the highest good, it will only hold you back. Eagle medicine can help you change things. The eagle brings the energy of healing and love directly from the heart of the Father Sky and invites you to do all things from a place of love. And I probably should have held that up while I was reading it, but here you are. I'm dragging ass. I am dragging ass. I'm not really dragging ass because I'm sitting ass. I'm an ass. I'm a sitting ass. So let's get into these cards, shall we? We are using the Paulina Tarot. And as I mentioned, I think inside of the Big Mama series. So the first card out, Queen of Cups. Last card out, King of Wands. Something is going on. Something is going on. Okay. So let's just see what's going on, shall we? I'm wondering, I think I am still reading in pairs of two. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cards. Okay, so, and for some reason, it's significant that I pointed out, even in the other series, the first card and the last card. Don't know what that means just yet. But for some reason, first card, last card, seems to be something's going on with these two. So we're going to see what's going on. Or at least I'm going to try to see. Might not hit me for days. Especially when I think about how long it's taking me to get to this moment, where we can be together and allow this thing to unfold. All right, so the Queen of Cups. The queen nurtures a tranquil ocean filled with life. Fish flying into the sky represent triumphs made possible through imagination and insight. And the quick at a glance meaning for the Queen of Cups is extraordinary, but extraordinary. But I love to say it extraordinary. Insight, sensitivity to others, compassionate, maternal, patient, honest, purity of spirit. Next card is the Hierophant. Okay, so I'm dropping cards. Hang on. Cranky. Fucking cranky. The Hierophant is a scholarly The Hierophant is a scholarly willow tree with great inner vision and wisdom. He leaves inner mix. He leaves. His leaves. His leaves intermix with glowing stars. His leaves intermix with growing stars, signifying his connection with life on the spiritual level. The eye above his head qualifies his quest for higher truth, such he shares with which he shares with younger generations. The quick at a glance meaning for the Hierophant is a wise teacher, guidance offered, growing knowledge, thrives on spiritual sustenance. So, what I am gathering so far with the first two cards out, if I was to try myself to gain an understanding or begin to open up the inquiry of comprehension, we are focusing on our non physical plights, which seems to be the forwarding theme over the last 24 months for me. Highlighted, grandly highlighted our sensitivities and awareness, increasing awareness around the activity of our non physical spaces. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to appropriately tend to our karmic debts if we don't begin to honestly focus on how our physical reality meets and intermingles with our non physical realities. So the next card out is the Chariot. And so, together as neighbors, which is interesting because cards 2, 3, and 4 are major arcana. So the Chariot. The charioteer struggles to guide his conflicting horses, yet his determination. Okay, so the chariot. Can you hear the plane going over? You probably can, because it like drowns out everything. We live close to Andrews Air Force Base, and so your concentration can get interrupted by the air traffic. randomly. Like, there is no sense to this shit. I'm cranky. And me continuing to say that I'm cranky is probably perpetuating the crankiness. Whatever the fuck. The chariot. The charioteer struggles to guide his conflicting horses. Yet his determination allows him to steady the chariot. The red details on the dark horse represents action and energy. The blue of the white horse indicates a calming force. The towering trees are vulnerable yet strong. The at a glance meaning for the chariot is overcoming obstacles, a conquest, well deserved victory, willpower, confidence, effort, and invigoration. 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 Why does that word seem so weird to me? Because I'm the opposite right now. Ain't no vigor in me. Woo! The next card is Judgment. So it's also the major arcana. And so the floating orbs are spirits eager to be reborn into the world. Color will return to the land as the spirits come to life. A youth sleeps high above the ground in a flower. She will be able to see at great distance when she awakens. As a child mermaid, sh- as a child mermaid, she represents a new transformation taking place. And the at a glance meaning for the judgment energy is rebirth, resurrection, forgiveness, awakening, mental clarity, rewards for past efforts, and good health. So far, and I know I said we were doing it in twos, but the major arcana is like the major league. And so, what it's telling me so far is that if we lead with an open heart, Queen of Cups, that's the first card out, and we become aware of the energies and the divine interventions of our non physical spaces, that there is a possibility. There is a true, stern, vibrant, vetted, and validated possibility for extraordinary, authentic happenstances. We have the majors. The majors are here to play. The majors are waiting in queue inside of our non physical spaces, waiting for our command to bring them forth. And I know that might be a little weird for those that have signed on to the perspective that celestial energy can't be commanded, but it can. And it has a lot to do with the structural architecture of our words. Many will try to downplay the power of words, especially words that are utilized wisely, those that have fundamental, focused intent applied to them, those that don't throw their words around, that when they say something, They are only saying that which they wish to communicate. They don't spin their words like a leaky faucet spins water. Because at the end of the day, when that happens, it can become quite expensive, especially in non physical spaces that are highly sensitive to the vocal commands of the human. With that said, the Nine of Wands is the next card. Though injured and fatigued, the hero, remains vigilant. The heroine, I'm sorry, there is a difference. The female hero, the shero, the heroine, the heroine. Ah, interesting. Okay. All right. Let's do it, girls. She knows the dark skies will clear up. Though yellow signifies warning or fear, it also brings optimism and energy. At a glance, the meaning for the Nine of Wands is courage in the face of confrontation, vigilance, order and discipline, preparation for conflict. I want to say the last two conversations with Terry, we were talking about disaster preparedness, but on an urban level. Just toying with the inquiry of how do you honestly get prepared for disaster? Because most often, I'm gonna speak for me personally. Any interaction that I've had with conflict has been more on a responsive side of things, reactive, um, more so being on the defending line of it. How does one prepare for conflict and trauma and turmoil and disaster? And I'm quite tuned in with our hopes and dances with optimism. And it's not far fetched, okay? It really isn't. It's not even an expectation that cannot be met to remain. I can't even seem to get it out. And this is why. Let me say this. I don't think I'm ever going to completely dismiss the hope for it turning out in favor of. But when we contemplate in terms of wins and losses, rights and wrongs, there's still a balance to that. There's still going to be some losers on the opposite end of the winners. Can't get around that. Can't get around that. There are opposing forces that is plaguing our situations and circumstances right now at this very instant. My plight is when asking what is it that we honestly know to be true? What's really going on? Do we honestly know what's going on? Who do we know firsthand that's actually sitting at these tables, being part of these discussions that make up the world around us? How do we honestly know? And I know we are groomed to treat mainstream news as our primary source of finding out what's actually going on. But as I've mentioned before, the wag the dog mentality and the founders of propaganda have utilized this tool. They have utilized the thing called reasonable doubt, or those that live on the outer fringes of reasonable doubt, to the fullest. And the common folk have suffered greatly as a result of it. The children of the damned. Would you say that you are one of the heirs to that catchphrase? And it's not just about slavery or not even mental slavery or the harsh realities of chattel slavery. But it is about the withholding of opportunity and knowledge and wisdom and the rearranging of narrative and the burning of evidence and the destroying of destiny or destined paths, the assassination of character and the population of the rumor mill. And I think what I find so baffling is that if we honestly took a true view of the circumstances, there is no way that I've come across for the common folk to honestly know what the fuck is truly going on around here. And we can go back and forth until the cows come home. As a matter of fact, I really think those behind the veil, that's exactly what they want. And sometimes, yes, I do have the tendency to tap into conspiratorial realm. But in my defense, I would love for somebody to tell me that there is no conspiracy, have never been a conspiracy, and that it really truly is a conspiratorial figment of all of everyone's imagination who decides to scrutinize, vet, and validate all that comes across the airwaves when we're talking about mass communication. How do you determine the facts from the fictions? So the next card out is the Eight of Wands. The determined girl moves swiftly towards her goal, being careful not to slip. Flowers growing from her head, flowers growing from her head blossom like new ideas that need to be cultivated immediately. I was listening to Dr. Joy DeGruy, and I can't really off the top of my head remember what lecture I was reviewing when she made mention about urban hassles. And when I coupled that with all that I've learned by sitting in a Bobby Hemmett lecture when he spoke heavily about dehydration and sleep deprivation, and putting them two together morphed a brand new circle of contemplation around the opposite of what it would be for flowers growing from her head blossom like new ideas that need to be cultivated immediately. And so, what I'm finding out in this duffel bag of urban hassles, the siren, that's what made me think of it right off, right at this moment. Um, Inside of the energetic ley lines of Washington, D.C., specifically. Now, because I'm technically in Maryland, um, and we do within the metro area, we will marry the three regions, which is um, Metro Maryland, all of DC, and Northern Virginia. So that's considered the DMV. Probably all of DC, Maryland, and Virginia, even though Maryland and Virginia they span quite a bit. So right in the clustering and the immediate surrounding of Washington D.C. There are pockets of urban life where the sirens will run and rip and run all through the fucking night. Living in Southeast DC less than, less than 12 months ago. That was the first time I had lived within the city limits as an adult. Already knee deep in what would be considered a writing career. And so anyone who it would consider themselves a creative, a producer of sorts, you know firsthand that when you are in the zone, when you're in the pocket, to have something break your concentration is a violation to say the least. Your sleep is very important to you as well. It has a lot to do with how you attract the energies and the focus that you need so that you can create and produce. When messages come through, when they are channeled through the human psyche, especially those that create and produce, there's always some kind of journal, there's always some kind of writing utensil because we know more than likely if you don't catch it when it comes through, it'll go on somewhere else and it'll get caught by the next one it pops up to who will capture it and utilize it. It makes me wonder if we ever itemize what creativity actually is. I think those that utilize it often, especially those that utilize it for a living, know how invaluable it is when a brand new idea sprouts or the aha comes with a grand set of delectables, if you will, intellectual delectables that you may actually manifest into something that's quite brilliant. Yes, I've hesitated with my ideas around self quarantining and this thing called social distancing right around this particular time in 2020. And it is all of a conspiratorial nature. And I'm not going to spend this time, especially seeing as that I know this will be uploaded inside the public domain by those that would instantly shut this down. I will say this, that it strikes me rather odd, rather remarkable and amazing too, that this key time at the brink of such concentrated energies that we being the humans, the vibratory channels would be instructed to stop hanging, stop being in the presence of, no hugging, no bonding, none of that. Why? Because when that happens, there is a certain manifestation that goes on in non physical spaces. The more it happens, the more the invisible world is enriched, it gets fed. When human beings hug, especially when they are in proper respect and union with one another, there are some magical things that take place in the non physical spaces. To send out the anti hug police, that's what I've been calling it. I've been calling this an anti celestial campaign because 2020 was promised to be miraculous and still probably has had its moments because one or two monkeys ain't getting ready to stop no celestial show. Trust and believe that. But I do think it's been compromised. I wonder all that would be going down if there was no quarantine or this punk ass social distancing and all those that needed to hug were getting their hugs at, and all those that needed to sit within the energy of one another was actually doing that, and that we were not yet again uh, shifted by the fear of that which we cannot see or that we don't know enough about. Now, that's not to say that the virus isn't real. That's not to say that the powers that be, that they've been 100% honest with us to tell us really truly what's going on. But that is to say that it just strikes me rather odd that right when the celestial powers are at their peak, where revolutionary energies have come to visit, and that they find themselves at a more robust nature when the humans get engaged with one another, that all of a sudden we're now on lockdown to the point where martial law is ensuing and all sorts of diversions and distractions are, they are, they are. So right after the Eight of Wands is another major arcana, and that is the moon. This molasses type energy that I'm in, I'm wondering if it's specifically for this because I was not feeling this heavy and weighty before I hit the record button. seems like it has descended upon me, and I am forcing my way through this. So, the moon and me with my Virgo moon, Virgo ascending nature, I'm going to want to make it perfect. So, I'm going to want to re record this because I want to be chipper and I want to be whimsical and I want to be, I want to be all witty and yeah. The creature cannot decide whether to transform into a wolf or a wildcat. So he turns to the moon. Ah, he turns to the wisdom of the moon. He turns to Luna for direction. The river running between six trees represents the six senses. The flowers and the trees sway as they are affected by the energy of the moonlight. The bee is a symbol of creativity and power. The meaning at a glance for the moon's energy is vivid dreams, psychic impressions, lack of clarity, illusion, creativity, the unconscious mind. Because we are still very much in the eye of the full moon in Sagittarius, that might have something to do with it too. Um, but there is something that is hidden, that is unclear about the children of the damned, this particular time and space, and the energies that are emerging, the energies that are transitioning, the energies that are conjuncting. There's also a lot that's going on with the multi dimensions of our psychic, intuitive natures. I have often said that it feels like we are dealing yet again with the I'm going to have all this shit going on over here so that you don't look over here. And I can't seem to shake that notion. There isn't anything that is coming across my radar that is provoking me to think anything different. Everything that is unfolding is slowly but surely tapping into the I'm gonna have you distracted over here so you don't look over here. Hocus pocus. I didn't even realize it. Oh, okay. So the next card out is the sun. Look at this here in the same. So the moon and this. Can I tip it? The moon and the sun, and actually, yeah. So maybe it should be this way because this was the card we just read, and the very next card out is the sun. Something's brewing. And I know right now that it's slow to connect because of my novice, my learning curve in tarot. But I have to go through it. Like I can't hop and skip and jump lessons. So I know I'm having a moment right now. I think it's going to come to me. I hope it comes soon. I'm not going to get too sassy and want it to come right at this moment while we're in it. But something's going on. Did not even realize the sun and the moon was coupled. They are coupled. Divine counterpart. Um, in part three, oh, there they go with them damn bikes. Okay, so we only have two more cards in this spread. Um, in part three of the Big Mama spread, we talked quite a bit about the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles and how the way we look at divine counterparts is being redesigned. There's a refocusing going on. This is something. Oh my gosh, this is something. Okay, another major arcana, the sun. The child and the bird fly happily through the lush garden. Not only does the hummingbird symbolize joy and beauty, but its ability to fly forward and backwards reminds us that we can look back at the past without dwelling, yet continue to move forward. Sankofa. Sunflowers encourage us to seek joy by always reaching toward the light. The healing rays of the sun give vitality to all. And the quick meaning for the sun card is abundant energy, vitality, pure and simple joy, new inventions, truth, accomplishment, satisfaction, energy. This means something. I know it does. I know it means something. I am. I'm going to put out the inquiry for my tarot treasure trove teachers, my gurus, and more than likely you know who you are because I've reached out to you, by which I can say I'm a little bummed out that no one has returned my inquiries. But in due timing, I believe in seven of Pentacles energy. I'm a Capricorn, so all in divine timing. I must pace my patience. But if you will, um, if you can, forward me what this means to you because I know it means something. And I think it means something on a collective scale. It's just above my scholarship at the moment, but I already feel it in me. I'm going to be tapping more into the collectivity of the sun and the moon, or the moon and the sun, seeing as that's the way that it came out. Which also might have something to do with the next card, which is the Nine of Swords. A terrified woman runs away from a ghastly creature of the spirit world. The six swords pointing up toward the creature acts as a defense from her fears. The quick meaning for the Nine of Swords is inner fear, bad dreams, anxiety, agony of mind, and doubt. I think if we keep in the forefront that this does exist and that there is a purpose to its presence and that there is also counterparting energies that are also present, and that whichever one you feed will grow straight like that, and that as the human, you have all right and ability to take on the hue that you desire. We're talking energies. The human being is the magnet for attracting energy, and you can direct and command it at your will. And so the last card out is the King of Wands. The King has a confident, passionate nature. The cobra emerging from the box represents divine authority. Hmm. Sprites at the king's feet work and entertain him. His expression holds intensity and seduction. Look at old King of Wands. Look at him. So the quick meaning for the King of Wands is self-assertion, ambition, financial planning, strong leadership abilities, and confidence. And remember, these readings are speaking about the energies, which means you can tap into it. It's made available for you to command it to you. And because it has a neutral nature, it does not speak in terms of right or wrong, good or evil. It honestly is subjected to that which beckons it. Just as the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups and the King of Wands. The Moon and the Sun. There is something going on with power couples. I don't think, in my heart of hearts, power couples are just for big business. And I know for a fact that there is an energy inside the homestead that power couples are now tapping into, and they are populating journals and books and commentary, official commentary around this new innovative energy that is being pulled, attracted their way. They are honestly a unique magnetic field, force field together. This one shows a pole, this one shows a pole. Together, they produce something brand new, never heard of, and the chemistry of energy that surrounds that that real, authentic union, springing forth. I think that's going to be signatured for this time and space. It's energy. It's cocktails of energy that we've never seen before. That is exclusively to be utilized for right now. The more and more power couples, they're not called power couples for nothing. And if you're part of a power couple and you're not utilizing your power to newness, towards innovation, this gonna sound a little judgy, and maybe it is, but you half-masked, you half-assed. um, and I think I'm gonna end it there. This is gonna conclude it. I think if you've hung out with me enough, you know that I can't function when the dogs get to barking. They drive me fucking crazy. And I think I'm already cranky and I'm low on energy. And something tells me that this is divine order, that I am feeling like I'm running on E. Maybe that's the significance of this reading, that there's an ushering in of power that will be exclusive to the power couple, to the oh my god, to the queen of, to the, and not specifically in terms of zodiac, but in energy, the Queen of Cups, the King of Wands, the Moon and the Sun. There's something going down. There's absolutely something going down. The Eight of Wands, and we're going to find out soon enough. And the Chariot and the Judgment, and it's going to move in and make its presence known, so that some wrongs will be righted, some karmic debt can be reconciled. The children of the damned is now being called to duty, and that just because you're damned does not mean you aren't useful, powerful, magnetic. So I struggled through it. I'm not re recording this, I'm uploading it just the way that it is. And if you find yourself at this moment in time and you sat with it, you struggled along with me, just realize that you part of the crew that is determined to see things from a higher perspective. You already know that the way that you had been seeing things has left you in such perplexities. I like that word, but for some reason it tongue ties me. Perplexities, just as well as I like the word persnickety. I love that word. I like periwinkle too. Let me get off of here because I'll be popping out with words all over the place. But until next time, gosh, I ain't cranky no more. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you well.